welcome to the podcast.
Welcome, welcome. So we did a thing where it was Christmas Eve and accidentally uploaded where it was my subject twice. Here we drop a topic on each other without the other one knowing, and kind of scheduled mine back to back. So then Richard's was last time, so now it's my turn again, and I'm going to drop one on him right now. I'm Faleena Hopkins.
And I'm Richard Cascioli.
Yeah. All right. How do you let go of the past?
That's a good one. Letting go. I like that topic. That's part of my mantra is to let go, or at least try to let go, you know, all the time. And letting go of the past, I think, is extremely important. It's difficult. I will admit, you got to do work on yourself. You got to, you know, do the work to, I think, heal the past first in order to then be able to let it go. It's not so easy to just say I'm going to let go of this, that, or the other thing, um, especially trauma, past trauma, which pretty much I don't want to say all the past is trauma, but letting go of past hurts, past grievances, past grudges is basically, I put it in the category of some trauma. There is obviously some trauma around that. So for me, what I do is, one, I do a lot of work on myself. I mean, every day I work on myself and I work on letting go of everything, even now in the future, but letting go of the past. I've done a lot of journaling, a lot of, you know, reading, a lot of meditation on it. And I think you do have to, or for me, I have to keep the focus on what it is I'm addressing, what the issue is, and then work on how can I look at that? Because for me, what happens when past things come up, it's like a thorn or a button, or someone could even say something that will bring up a past, hurt or thorn that then you have to address. And for me today, doing that work means to, when something comes up, if I'm in a conversation with someone like yourself and you say something that hurts my feelings, uh, so you're going to feel it. If I go back and constantly live in the past and I'm talking about the past, well, it's, Joe Dispenza says this. He goes, every time you look backwards and you discuss something in your past that brings up that hurt again, what it is it's like a snapshot and you're right back in it. And the minute you start thinking about that past hurt or whatever it is that you're trying to let go of, you're right back in it. It's almost like the first time all over again. It's amazing what the brain and the heart will hold on to, with pain and trauma and past events that you kind of obviously want to let go in order to move forward. I don't know if you can truly move forward without letting go of the past, because like I just said, if you keep thinking about something and it hurts you, it's kind of like, I have this saying, this is my saying, but it's like getting on the merry-go-round. If every time I get on the merry-go-round I get sick, well, then why do I keep getting back on the merry-go-round? So it's the same thing about reliving the past, reliving past grievances, hurts, traumas. If I keep reliving them and I keep getting upset, and it makes me literally sick to my stomach, which it does to some people. I mean, there are people who think about the past, it brings it back up, and then all of a sudden they're depressed, and then they don't understand why they can't get out of the house, why they can't get motivated to do something. And I do believe that letting go is one of the most important aspects of self-improvement, recovery, and healing your old wounds, like getting rid of that toxic energy that has been created in you. And if you think about it, it's us who keeps holding on to it because it's pretty much like our comfort zone. You feel comfortable with things that are familiar. So if a past hurt comes up and it's familiar, you're going to repeat the same patterns, but it's going to feel so familiar to you, just like the merry-go-round, that then you're reliving it again and you're not able to move forward. Looking at past grievances, past hurts is really hard work. Doing the work on yourself, I think, is very difficult, and it takes a lot of diligence, a lot of tenacity, will, drive, whatever you want to call it, to address these issues to be the best version of you could possibly be. We all want to be authentic, but I think you need to heal in order to move forward. So some of the things that I do in order to let go of the past are, I'll journal. If something comes up for me, I'll journal about it. I'll write, why is this hurting me? What am I actually feeling around this? Because that's the key. It's not, we tend, I think, to look at the person or whoever said what they said or the past and think, well, the reason I am the way I am today is because of that event. And if you keep replaying the event, it becomes like a habit, right? And then you keep replaying it, and then you're almost like you're stuck in a loop. And then you keep talking about it, right? I'll give you for instance, okay? So I've been journaling for, my God, 30 plus years. I journal every day and I try to work through my issues. I meditate, I journal. And the last couple of months, I I felt like I was kind of stuck, in the sense that one of the journals I use and have used is the Untethered Soul. It's a very good journal, and it actually prompts you. So he'll give you prompts. Michael Singer, the author, will give you prompts to work on. Like if something, think about something that's bothering you from your past, your family, this work, a relationship, and then he'll give you a prompt to work through that. So then you'll write it out and you'll journal through that. And I was doing this, and I was on literally my fourth or fifth one of his journals. And I couldn't figure out why every day I was starting to feel a little, I was carrying it with me. I would journal, I would work on myself for like about an hour and a half, 2 hours every day. And then I was carrying it into my life, getting in the car, going to work, going to the gym. And I couldn't figure it out until one day someone said this to me. Well, I didn't figure it out. Someone said to me, "Hey, did you ever think that by you doing this every day, you're actually doing the snapshot and you're thinking about it every day and you're bringing it up every day, and then it's making you feel like you're damaged, like you're broken, and you need to address something every day." And I said, "Wow." So I came home the next morning. I went to pick up my journal, and it was hard to put it down because it was habitual writing every day. It just became habitual. I forced myself to put the journal down, and little by little, I would just meditate a little bit more and do my daily readings out of my books, my daily readers. And all of a sudden, without even noticing it, it, it I felt lighter, and I felt like something had lifted. And I thought to myself, wow, this whole time I kept jumping into the rabbit hole every morning and writing about something that I thought was wrong. And then I thought, there's nothing wrong, because and it comes full circle to letting go of the past. Now, if you can truly let go of the past and move forward, well, then you're not constantly going backwards. You're not looking over your shoulder. You're not jumping into the rabbit hole every day and thinking, I got to fix what happened in the past in order to, be okay. If you've done enough work, I think what happened, I got into this habitual, rabbit or hamster wheel of constantly thinking, if I just write enough, I'm going to work this out and I'm going to be better, 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 better. But it got to a point where I was okay, and I kept writing thinking I wasn't okay. And the minute I put the journal down, and now it's been a couple of months, and I can't tell you, I feel so much lighter. And I'm not advocating for not journaling and working through your stuff. I think everything is a process, and you have to actually figure out where you are in your process in order to move forward or journal or read more books or go to therapy or whatever that takes. But for me, that was an instance where I actually had to let go of the past, thinking I needed to write every day in order to get better. And then I just thought, I am better. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not broken anymore. I'm not damaged. I've done, my God, 40 years of work on myself to get to where I am. And if I keep telling myself and writing every day that something's wrong and picking an issue that I think I need to work on, well, then you're constantly reiterating to yourself that you're still broken or something is damaged and you need work. And I'm again, this is just my process and where I am right now in the process, but that's part of how I had to let go of something that, and there comes the key to, think about this, right? How many things do we do that we've picked up as our armor that we think helps us, and then at some point you realize it's not serving me anymore, or you have to ask you, is this serving me? And I didn't even realize it wasn't serving me anymore. I would have never in a million years thought that journaling was not serving me, because I don't think it's detrimental. I just think the way you do it. So I think I could go back to journaling if I'm writing about just light stuff, gratitude lists, things that I've want to accomplish in the day, and not keep picking at a scab that's already healed for me, you know. So
Cool.
yeah.
So how do you let go of the past then? You're saying well, you let go of the journaling, and you let go by, what did you journal when you were journaling, when it was working for you?
I was journaling about things that happened in the past, things that happened or were still, happening, such as trauma, growing up in trauma. What, we all, I don't want to say we all, I can't, put that out there as a common, theme. I don't think everybody grows up with trauma, but I know quite a few people that have had trauma in their past, whether it's a childhood trauma, past relationship, and I tend to label these things as trauma, because that's just my language. But I think we all have been affected in some way by past events. Let's put it that way to more generalize it. So what I would do is, whatever that past event was and how it affected me, I needed to look at it and realize that, one, I'm not living there anymore. Two, that is not happening to me anymore. I think another thing for me, which is important that I realized, was none of this stuff is happening anymore. The stuff that happened to me as a kid, all my past relationships, is not happening anymore. So, there's this thing, we get caught up in that, we we think our past kind of dictates where we are, and it does if you're allowing your past to control you and rule you and feel that you are still broken. It's kind of like when you hear people complain, or I don't even want to say complain, but address their issues, and they say, well, I am the way I am because my father did this, or my mother did this to me, and my brother, or this relationship didn't work out and she hurt me really bad, or he hurt me really bad and he said these things. And of course they hurt you, and of course they're going to hurt in the moment, but if you continually relive it and think that you are that person who has been traumatized, well, yeah, you're never going to get over it. It's that thing about keep getting back on the merry-go-round. But if you can, and this is what I did, I addressed the issues, the stuff that happened to me with my family, the stuff that happened to me with past relationships. We discussed in one of our episodes, a relationship that obliterated my heart. And for a long time, I thought I was damaged, broken. There was something wrong with me, or I was unworthy of having a healthy, loving, unconditional, authentic relationship. But I don't necessarily think, it takes two to tango, right? And if you're going to be in a relationship, that's just the relationship part, whether it's your family, your mother, father, brother, sister, wife, husband, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, you would hope that both of you are doing work on yourselves to just be the best authentic version of you can be, and heal your past, let go of your past, know that that is not controlling you anymore. You don't live there anymore. It's not happening today. So why are you it why do we keep traumatizing ourselves over past events, right? Think about how many people are still walking around depressed, sad, going to therapy, meetings, doing all this self-help stuff, it's like the environment trumps will thing we talked about. If you keep living in the environment, even in you, there's a saying, stay out of your head, it's a sick neighborhood, right? And it's so true, but that's your environment. Think about it, that's your environment. So if you keep in your head thinking there's something wrong with you, I'm broken, I'm damaged, I'm the way I am, and we all react according to how we were programmed or how we were damaged or how we were traumatized. But none of us are truly broken. We're not broken, we're damaged, we got hurt. So if you can heal that stuff, if you can do the work on your stuff and on yourself, and whether that means going to therapy to work it out, or going to self-help meetings, reading, journaling, I feel you need to reason things out with someone other than yourself. You can't, it's hard to reason things out with yourself if you're in that mindset of you think you're damaged, right? You know, how you're going to get out of that? Einstein said that. How do you work through stuff with a messed up mind, a crazy mind? You can't. So you gotta, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go to therapy or a psychologist. It means you need to be with someone you feel safe with that will hold you accountable, so that when you do say things, they say, no, that's really unfair. You shouldn't have said that. And I think you need to make an amends. So it's really made self-preservation.
I had something come up, and I had to realize, okay, if I'm having this big of a reaction to it, where did it start?
Hmm.
If I can go back into the past, then I can take the power out of its present. Because a lot of times you have a reaction to something, and it's really the past dictating the present, because the thing now isn't even that big of a deal. And if I had a better handle on, if I was more self-confident, knew the truth, whatever, this would not happen. But something triggered from the past. So I had to first examine, where did that come from? Where did it start? And then wrote about it a little bit to get it out. And also a tool that somebody gave me years ago. I don't remember exactly who it was. It was in a group of people. Uh, Take ice cubes into the shower, and one at a time, smash them into that bathtub or shower, because they make the most delicious crack, and you don't have to pick any pieces up because it melts down the
Yeah.
drain. So you take it and you focus on the thing you're trying to let go of, and that could just be something you're really, really angry at, so that you don't take it out on you, and you get it out of your body, and you just focus on it, and you throw it in there. This is for this. Boom. I'm letting go of this. Boom. And just, especially in bathrooms, because there's this echo, because usually there's no fabric on the walls except for a towel, but no ceiling or floor, because you don't want to get mildewy. So it has this great echo sound of this crash, and then it just melts down, and you don't have to pick anything up or explain it to anybody.
Nice. I just had someone say something of the same sort in order to kind of release a past trauma, and you either write it down or type it out, and then you put it on your barbecue and light it on fire, and send it into the ethers. And that's another way to do it. And what I do, well, I only did it once because it just came up recently. And in that, I wrote on it, I set you free with love, and or set whatever it was that was bothering you, I set this free with love. And then you burn it. So it's kind of the same philosophy without the cracking, but you get to watch it burn. And I don't know, I think there's a lot of different modalities to.
No, that's a great one. I actually
Yeah.
wrote that into my book, Jackson's Love Story, in my series. One of
Nice.
the characters has something she has to let go of. She writes it down, puts it into a trash can that doesn't catch fire.
Yeah, yeah.
The metal ones, is outside, and has a moment to herself where she just watches it turn to ash, because ashes to ashes, going back to where we all started, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, see ya.
Yeah, past stuff is difficult. I definitely can see how and why people have a hard time addressing it. One, and then letting it go. It's not easy to do. It's not an easy mechanism or modality. We're not, in this society, it's a little bit more acceptable and prevalent that we are seeking help, outside help, to work through our past stuff, to move forward. In 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 the past, my parents' generation, it was not really acceptable to go to therapy or get any kind of outside help. It was for men, where I came from, for men to say I need to go to therapy or I need help, it was a sign of weakness, unfortunately, and there was something wrong with you. It's like, yeah, no shit. That's why I'm going to therapy.
It wasn't just men, it was people, because
People in general, yeah.
you couldn't people didn't go to therapy because people used to get thrown into institutions, and women used to get institutionalized just for having emotions.
Right.
And there's some stories of, I mean, Cary Grant's mom, it turned out for like 50 years, she was in an institution because his father had an affair and wanted to leave her. And he
Mm.
thought she ran away. I saw his documentary recently. It was despicable. So his mom contacted him because he became a big star and he's no longer Archibald, which was his original name. I think it's Archibald something. And he realized that his mom had never left him. She was put in an institution by his
Wow.
father. Women were put into institutions a lot.
Yeah.
So it's both had a real problem with therapy being okay. The fact that we talk about things like this nowadays is really a gift because you don't have to carry around this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just share it.
And you're right. It is both. I mean, it brings up to mind that movie Francis Farmer. What,
Right.
like, wow. When I watched that movie, I wept. I was like, how do you do, but again,
We'll remind them what they might not have seen it because we were just talking about this. What
oh,
did they do to her?
because they wanted to quiet her and shut her down, they said that she was crazy, which she was not. But back in that day, all you had to do was go to the doctor and say, "This is great," and they bring two orderlies, and they will put you in a straitjacket and take you away without your consent or anything, because either the mother or father or husband says there's something wrong with you. So
Mm-hmm.
they could not quiet her voice, and what they did was they gave her a frontal lobe lobotomy and made her a vegetable. And I mean it, and that was very prevalent back in the day when
It's
they
common.
thought, yes, very common, when they thought you were out of hand or uncontrollable. And it was only
I just
because,
can't even.
right, it was basically because you had a voice, and you were going against the system, or whatever that system was, whether it was the household system, politics, whatever. If you didn't acclimate and get in line, straighten out, well, now there's something wrong with you. It's not like today where you can, like we're doing, you can pretty much voice your opinion. No one's going to come to our door and arrest us or try to take us away, you know. And if they do, we're going to have a problem. But you know what I'm saying.
One last thing on that too. Edie Sedgwick, she was in the Andy Warhol films. She was his muse for a little while, and she was actually, I think, at 19 or 17, she was put into an institution by her father because she walked in on him cheating on her mother with another woman, and she screamed. And rather than have her tell the truth and tell the mom, he had her institutionalized. This is like the
Yeah.
fact that they could do that. I say these things because that's how far we've come. Because that was 70s, was Edie doing the stuff with Andy Warhol? Wasn't it early 70s, late 60s?
Yeah.
It's so recent that a lot of things have changed. If you need help or you need to talk to, and I don't, maybe help even sounds like too big a word, but if you need to talk to somebody about something, there's so many ways to do it. There's so many, it's totally okay to do that. It doesn't mean we're broken, as you said earlier.
Right.
It means we're working at having a life we want to live. We want to be better.
And there's no shame in it.
There's no shame.
Today, there's no shame in
Zero
saying, you
shame.
know what, I'm hurting. I'm, 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 I feel sad. I'm hurting. And if you can't, like, I don't think it is possible to work things out by yourself, through, I tried it for years and years and years, sitting here on my balcony, journaling, meditating. And I mean, I have other modalities that I use. But the one of the most important, to come back to what I was saying before, is to be able to have somebody to reason things out with. And again, it might not have to be a medical professional, a therapist, or a psychologist, but you have to have someone that is not going to sit there and just, misery loves company kind of thing, and take your side and, oh yeah, they did you wrong and you should tell them and blah blah blah. No, sit with an open mind, listen to what the other person is saying, because here's the thing: if you really love someone, if you care about someone, you're going to listen to them. And it might hurt what you're going to say to them in order to help them, but if you really love them, that's what needs to be done. You can't placate them or gaslight them and think that, oh yeah, you're right, be self-righteous and, be angry, you should be angry. No, if you need help, you need someone to say, wait a minute, I'm noticing a pattern, and this is what I've noticed in you lately, and you tend to be complaining about this or that, and have you thought about maybe looking at it this way, or maybe trying this to help you through that issue?
Yeah.
And a lot of us isolate with our problems because I think from the past we were told to kind of, for lack of better words, man up, handle your business. And you don't tell people when you're upset or that something's even wrong, for what we just talked about, because if you did tell someone was wrong, you'd be institutionalized. And that's not going to happen today. So even if you start out by just journaling and meditating, and then, having someone to reason things out with, if you do need professional, there's no shame. Today, what a wonderful, thing that we have today, that, it's become more commonplace to seek help and not be ashamed. And, I was just at a meeting the other day, and a week or two ago, I had shared about something in this meeting, and this woman came up to me and hugged me and said, "Oh my God," and she had tears in her eyes. And I explained how I went through this situation the last time I was home, and I was able to sit with my dad and tell him that I love him, and I don't. I'm not holding on to anything. I'm not taking anything forward with me as far as the trauma, like letting go of the past. And she had tears in her eyes. She goes, "I didn't get that opportunity. My dad passed away a couple of months ago."
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry." And she's like, "You don't even know what you did by saying that,
Yeah.
and how that helped me to realize that I need to kind of suit up and show up and really kind of take care of myself a little bit better, so that I'm able to make amends when I can, because sometimes we don't get a second chance."
And that's Hey Now.
And that's Hey Now for today.
Follow us on all the places.